Hello everybody, Buddy with Midland, Texas. I'm going to start this video off with a picture from my attic, and I just thought it was interesting. And I want to show you the new wood that I found up there. I wondered if that was, with the construction or rigging this home for people getting in the attic. And you can see here where the age of the wood was different, And like, see this vertical support, that was installed after I moved here, and I didn't put it in. Here's another one. You can see how that's new there, and that's just some of the things that happened to my attic. I wondered if there wasn't actually like a trapdoor false ceiling type deal in the attic where they're above that, and that's where they can hide, get in, move in and out and all that. I don't really know that, but it's something that I really don't go after. I don't want to confront these burglars because I know that they're armed and dangerous, and they're backed up by them secret police, and that was caught on camera after I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. And so I've waited for good police to do their job, and we've been waiting for a very long time. I want to start the video here. I have a Facebook post here. This is on my Facebook, Buddy Wayne Webb here, and I did this yesterday. I talked to a woman last night. She's the third woman to tell me that she was raped, okay? I mean, every time I turn around, I'm hearing about another home with people in the attic. Third woman, okay? And so let me, short read here. 3 women have now told me they were raped after reporting or hearing people in the attic. This message below came from the first one, who asked to remain anonymous. I made a video with the second woman last weekend, and it's heartbreaking to listen to. And that's on YouTube and on TikTok. The link to that video is here. I just heard about a third woman tonight, but I have to keep that one secret for now, okay? Just keep, for privacy's sake. When they ask me not to say, I don't say. I've now identified over 50 homeowners from California to Alabama who have reported people in the attic, with more than a dozen addresses in Midland, Texas, and another dozen in Odessa. There are also homes in the local towns such as Andrews, Texas, Hobbs, New Mexico, and many others. I'm going to show you a list here in a little bit. Obviously, this is the tip of the iceberg. I believe there's thousands of these rigged homes, okay? And so that means many more rapes and murders, okay, and thefts. I lived here in Midland for 2 years before I figured out somebody was in the attic, and a year later they cut my phone lines and shot me, okay? So keep that in mind. I don't think they're trying to get caught, so I'm sure it was going on since the time I moved here, but I just didn't know it. I'm sure there are many homes here and across the nation with people in the attic, and the owners haven't figured it out yet. It could be in your home right now. I was told the last guy that owned this home, Mike Lawhon, was telling his friends that people were in his house before he died at 27 years old. Based on evidence, I believe he was murdered here and taken to Fort Worth, which happened the week before the 2008 oil show started. I now believe that my home in Hobbs, New Mexico, where I lived before I moved here, was also rigged, but I didn't expect that when I lived there. It was built by my first in-laws, which explains why they turned their back on me after I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off in the attic. They called me crazy. They built my Hobbs home and the one next door to it. I suspect there's a tunnel connecting them. In fact, I suspect that most of these rigged homes has a tunnel coming from a nearby neighbor's house. It leads up a modified wall, which has a crawl space with a hidden trapdoor in the attic. This allows the home intruder to come and go all they want without being seen. It's free room and board for life. Then they steal heating, cooling, and electricity from the homeowner, which is an additional felony called theft of services. Add this on to the burglary of habitation. See, it wouldn't be very comfortable in the attic if you didn't have the heating and the cooling and the electricity. This is a very lucrative crime racket since rent is expensive. I've estimated around $2,000 a month per rigged home, and I've wondered if paybacks were going to the police that seem to be looking the other way and allowing these thefts, rapes, and murders. These criminals are very tech savvy, as I proved they hacked 2 security camera systems. I have another one now that I'm sure they have hacked too. This same thing is also done at the other homes, so when a homeowner installs cameras, they never see anybody on them, even though they can hear people in their homes. This is used against them to call them crazy. That's the modus operandi. Here's the proof video on that. I have a proof video on this right here. It's going to be in the Facebook post, or in the YouTube video when I post it, and also TikTok. when a homeowner calls and reports somebody in the attic to the police don't tell them these same crimes are happening all over town and act like they're the only one that thinks somebody's in the attic and calls them crazy, aka 1096. They also refuse to go up into the attic and even look. I don't believe the police are dumb, which means they know this is happening and they've been allowing it for some reason. Rigging homes to steal, rape, and kill innocent homeowners is not acceptable. It's time to put an end to this, okay? And so here was the meme that and it's basically a print screen and from several years ago actually. And this woman is telling me, says, I put down payment on the house, lived there with my kids 7 years. Until I read your blogs, I felt that I was completely insane. Heard people in my attic and the crawl space below on a nightly basis. Have you heard of these tunnels in Odessa? This person lived in Odessa. I know at least 15 to 20 times I came to my house days after the last time I was coherent. I would be in compromising positions and, let's say, less clothes than I was wearing the days before. I believe with everything in me that people were drugging me and human trafficking was occurring. I guess to normal people, these seem like a far stretch. Okay, and I blocked some out. It says, I'd like to remain anonymous, but I want to thank you for speaking out. I'm interested in here if you know of any tunnels in Odessa. Okay, that's the first woman that told me she was raped, okay, after reporting people in the attic. Okay, and then we have the video here that got posted last week, and this was, I mean, it'll make you cry. There's no doubt, this woman was telling the truth. Here I wrote, here's the second video of the second woman made talking about being raped after reporting people in the attic. It's easy to tell that she's telling the truth and it will make you cry. She didn't call the police because the police had already called her crazy. Do you see how bad of a situation that is? A Facebook friend talked to a friend. Here's my next comment. A Facebook friend talked to a friend of Mike Lawhon, the previous owner of my home, and she was told that Mike was always telling them that somebody was in his house, and then he died at 27 years old. With conflict and reports of where he died at, I believe he was murdered here, taken to Fort Worth. Here's the message I got one day. She says, I talked to a friend of mine that was really good friends with Mike, okay, the guy that lived in the house before you did. I've been hanging... Julio had been hanging out with Michael. He said Mike was always talking about how he felt like people were in his house, how he knew people were in his house, okay? And so before this guy dies at 27 years old, he's telling people breaking his house. And this is the house I bought, started reporting people in the attic, and then I'm ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut, okay? This is the police report from my first call to the police reporting somebody in the attic, which was my second call for a burglary of a habitation. I was scared to death at the time. Notice that Officer A. Corson called me 1096, which means crazy, and at the time I was a 27-year company man, a granddad, a homeowner that had never had a felony, and they're calling me crazy. A. Corson is now the Internal Affairs Officer for MPD. So if I reported police corruption concerning these people in the attic crimes, he would be the one that would review it. The guy that called me crazy. They all have all the bases covered up there. See how bad a situation that is? And because, see, after I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut, there was 11 police caught on camera at my house, staging the crime scene, stealing evidence, planting evidence, and it took 6 years and a $2,000 reward to get them identified. Come to find out, 6 of their names were illegally omitted from the police report. Two of them are dead, okay, them police officers. Keep in mind, 6 years later, I mean, they falsified the police report. They were tampering with evidence. I have all this proof, but if I went to report this to Internal Affairs, the guy that I would report it to would be A. Corson, because A. Corson right here was on the first call for me calling people in the attic. Another guy there was Michael Chandler, and he's the husband of April Chandler. She was one of those secret police that was caught on camera. But here's that my first report for someone in the attic, January 8th, 2011. It says he can hear noises, so he blocked the attic. A complainant is holding his 9mm in the closet with a shotgun. I was scared to death. Here's the police officers: Corson, Michael Chandler, and Bradley Alexander. And there was also a Joseph Mueller and a Peter Dillinger. Okay, here we go. Call unfounded complainant 1096, and that comes from 2220, and 2220 right there is A. Corson, and that's their Internal Affairs Officer for the Midland Police. They got all the bases covered. recently I was going to report those officers, just like I said, to Internal Affairs. And when I go online, if you go online right now to the Midland Police, Google it, Internal Affairs right here for the Midland Police Department right there, okay, what you're going to see is right here. That's who you're going to talk to, Anthony Corson. Yep, that there. See the problem? So, here's the problem. Okay. My next comment here. These are the nurse's notes from the ER on the night I was ambushed and shot. It was a year after my first report for somebody in the attic. Notice that I'm telling the hospital staff and Detective Rosie Rodriguez that alarms keep going off. Okay. These were burglar alarms that I installed in my attic to prove these crimes. Detective Rodriguez didn't know the nurse was documenting what I was saying, and she wrote on her report that I told her that I was locking up for the night, knocked my gun over, and shot myself. The ER nurse was the only one who was telling the truth. I was shot during a home invasion. I also told them that I had proof at my home, and this was a voice recorder that had recorded the burglar alarms going off before I was shot. That evidence proved a murder attempt was found by the police and then stolen. 7 years later, Matt Davis, a sergeant from that night, wrote on my YouTube channel, "I stole the evidence, buddy, and nobody will ever find out." I have the print screen showing him bragging about that online. Okay, now I'm going to show you the proof of what I just said. Here's the medical records, the nurse's notes. This is my permanent medical records, and this is what the nurse document is saying minutes after I was shot, okay? There are sirens going off. The alarms kept going off. In closet, there's a voice recorder recording what's happening. That was at 23:27, okay? And then more. I was talking to a white voice recorder in case something happens to me, saying what they were doing. I have proof. Just go look, there's proof. And at the same minute, 12:03, Detective Rosa Rodriguez is in the room, because it's saying that she has my necklace and she's going to give it to my brother, which was interesting. I wondered if she knew my brother somehow. But here, Detective Rosie Rodriguez didn't know the nurse had documented what I said. She made up a whole nother story. She says, "Buddy stated he lives here and he was locking up for the night. He advised he makes sure all his doors and windows are locked before going to bed. He said he had a 12-gauge shotgun, leaned up against the wall, stated he was going to lock the door, and it fell over and it shot himself. The shotgun accidentally fired and shot his ankle." And that's what she said. Nothing about I was under a home invasion. Alarms are going off over and over and over. I've got criminals in my house breaking into my home. Nothing about that. Oh, he's going to bed for the night, knocked his gun over and shot himself. That's what she said, And here, this other point was here. He said his phone was not charged, so he went outside. And the reason she said that is because she got caught on camera planting my stolen cell phone behind my nightstand. That's a whole nother story. But that's the reason she made that up. That was a lie, another lie she made up. Okay. This next one, this shows where I told Detective Rodriguez about the voice recorders that I have proof. Go look, there's proof. And it shows where Officer April Chandler found the voice recorder and said she checked it into evidence, but I found that to be a lie, okay? She also found two .22 guns, and they were checked in by Sergeant Matt Davis, but the voice recorder, proof of capital attempted murder that I told police about, went missing. It was checked in over a year later after I made a big deal out of the police stealing evidence in a murder attempt. Here's the facts. Nothing's happening, and this is what happened here. That's what the voice recorder looked like. I was recording the burglar alarms going at it. Now, see, why is that so important? Is because they're saying I shot myself, okay? This was an accident. And no, it wasn't. I was under a home invasion. This was premeditated capital attempted murder, okay? That's why it's so important. That's why they stole the voice recorder, okay? And so I already read you the nurse's notes, but here's Officer Chandler in her narrative. She says, Buddy had a .22 rifle in the bedroom by the bed, was taken for safekeeping and logged into MPD evidence, as well as a single-shot revolver and the voice recorder from the closet. The two .22s were checked in by Matt Davis, but the voice recorder was not. It went missing. It was stolen. And keep in mind, I had told them, I have proof. Just go look, there's proof. Proof of a premeditated capital attempted murder stolen by these police. Okay. And then Matt Davis quits the police department, about 22 months later. And I think he was probably asked to quit. I got a feeling that his supervisors figured out he was involved. But then in 2019, he writes this on my YouTube channel. It's right here. It says, let it clear up. Matthew Davis. I stole the evidence and nobody will ever find out, buddy. Can you imagine that? Just bragging about stealing evidence in a capital attempted murder, And what it's all about is covering up these people in the attic crimes and the murders and the rapes and the thefts and all the other related crimes with it. This is an old spreadsheet that I created which shows 42 other homeowners that have reported people in the attic, but that count is much higher now. I heard about another one last night. The lady told me she's raped. This is going on all over the country, and now we know they're stealing, raping, and killing innocent homeowners. This has to end. Okay, so I provided this spreadsheet to Lieutenant Gray at the Midland Sheriff's Department about a month ago, and he's like, "Where did you get this at?" Oh, I created it. A lot of these come from my scanner because how do I find out? From the police scanner. I recorded it from the police scanner, or they contacted me, personally contacted me, and so I got the city and the state, and so here's Andrews, Texas, Austin, Belmead, Carlsbad, New Mexico, Hobbs, New Mexico, Los Lunas, New Mexico. Here's a whole bunch in Midland, whole bunch in Odessa. A lot of them I don't get the address to, but they tell me their story and I got it documented, and so that's what this spreadsheet is. And I mean, that's what my YouTube's filled full of that, right? And so here, and then I always put this on here. We're going to finish this out real quick. A few of the calls that are recorded from my police scanner are people being reported in the attic, and that's where, so other people know that, because that I'm not the only person reporting people in the attic. And that's the thing here, is what they want to convince you of that. And that's pretty much what they're telling you. The police, when you report people in the attic, they're like, "You're the only one. You're crazy. You're 1096, And it's like, no.
The woman is facing charges after police say she burned down her home to get rid of someone who she claimed was in the attic.
Caller stating that he heard someone in the attic. 610 cheater. This complaint is going to be a 7-year-old male stating he can hear yelling and fighting. His mother's in the attic. He can hear her being assaulted.
$10.96. You hear it? They called her. The dispatcher called her crazy. And the police hadn't even been there and investigated. Here's the addresses for Midland, Odessa there, and that's, like I said, that's an old list is what that is. And let me stop this, because there's more. Every time I turn around, there's more. And I'm going to finish this up. I asked the city of Midland for a list of all homeowners that reported people in the attic, and they said they had no records showing anybody had. That included me. I don't believe that's true, because I have the police reports when I called, and also have the police reports when my Vivid security system in my attic called them. Plus all the police scanner calls, emails, and messages from other crime victims who told me they'd called the police. And this is the message I got from the city of Midland, actually come in from Stephen Gates, first assistant city attorney, and that was my question. Provide me a list of all 911 calls for the last 10 years with homeowners reporting someone in the attic. And it says, according to the Midland Police, the closed record is the only record in the city's possession, and the one record he sent me had nothing to do with that. Okay, it was concerning other things. Basically, they were saying nobody had. That's what they were saying. And so I just wanted to let you know what's going on here. I know a lot of this I've seen before. Some of it you haven't seen before. And in the new information, now there's a third woman, and I got a feeling we're going to hear about more. And this has to stop about this raping these women, drugging and raping these women and the people in the attic. These crimes are going on all over the place. We have to find some good, legitimate law enforcement. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.